All right, welcome in hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest, live here from City National Arena in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. The guy next to me on my left is let's call him a UNLV media rep, but let's also call him a UNLV aficionado because STEVEN Marsh follows UNLV hockey like nobody else. He gets everything that we need to have done with the program, tweets it out, covers the games. Steven, I wanted to bring you in today for a couple of reasons. First of all, I know you know UNLV hockey, but just last weekend they played their Scarlet and Gray game. I was up here last week. I wasn't able to get up here for the game. I know you saw it. You watched it. What were your overall thoughts? And first of all, welcome in.
Well, thanks, Scott, for having me. And it was a very interesting scrimmage, and I say that as regards to the crowd size. As we've seen over the last couple of years as they've moved to City National, in just the 2 years that I've seen the program, they've really have increased in their attendance. They get good turnouts in their games, and they're really packed. And typically when we see a scrimmage game in a lot of the sports, you only see a few people come out. It's like, well, it's not a real game. You're not going to come out and wait till the season starts. But I think that the drive for hockey here in the city has really, and for UNLV hockey, has really propelled, and whether it's a scrimmage or not, just hockey itself, it's really made the people come out. And so that was the case last night. We saw, or last week rather, on Friday, where we saw a big crowd just for a scrimmage game. And it wasn't even like a full crowd. So imagine when first game starts, it's going to be really packed. But just for a scrimmage game, it was really cool to see.
All right, let's back up a step. You are a UNLV grad yourself. As you went to school at UNLV and you watched this hockey program grow, what were your thoughts? Did you think it was ever going to be what it's become already?
Well, I have to be honest. It's been a few years since I graduated from college at UNLV. So when I was going to school there, it wasn't, which was back in 2010 to 2012 or so. You heard there was a hockey program, but you didn't really know about it. But then this in the last few years now, 3 or 4 years, that the current people are involved with ZEE and Nick and all of them have been involved with the program. It's really progressed and it's really grown. And I'm on campus that much now anymore, but from what I understand, there's people know UNLV hockey now, and the Rebellion, which is a student section on campus that was really started to kind of help with the basketball games. They've now come to various UNLV hockey games and have provided an extra sort of energy for the game. So it's almost like it's just a regular sport, just like the other teams at school there. So that's kind of cool to see. As a UNLV alum, to see hockey, which is a sport I really like, to see it have this kind of attention.
All right, let's follow that up with, how did you get started in hockey? What did you like about the sport, and what made you want to cover this team in particular?
Well, it had to go back to 2004. We had the ECHL was here. We had the Las Vegas Wranglers,
yep.
And I remember starting to go to the games there with the Orleans, and my uncle volunteered there. He did some stuff with the help with the stats or help with the penalty box and stuff like that. So he would get us tickets and stuff, and so I'd go and start watching it, and it just started really involving. I love the just how physical it was, or just how much skill there was involved with it, and just the atmosphere that they put on there at the Wrangler games was good. And so then I started really watching hockey more, and just really became more involved with the way this game is played, and just really liking how they played, and how competitive they are, and just how great of a sport it is just to watch.
You know, when we talk hockey in the Desert Southwest, and we're celebrating our 5th year at IcetimeHockeySW.com, and as I look back and I saw the numbers. I was here when Nick and Anthony and Z took over and started to rebuild this program. I was here to see Gramps following up a little bit with Anthony's grandpa. But when I looked at it, I got, man, can this really take off? And then the Golden Knights come in, and all of a sudden you realize hockey belongs in the desert. Fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's certainly a fair assessment. We see it with this program. We see it with the Golden Knights and what that has done. But even before that, we've had a lot of programs, youth hockey here in Las Vegas, and in this area, and so you had some talent come out of Vegas before. You had Derek England, who played with the Wranglers, made it to the NHL. We had other players that made their way through Vegas that made their way to the NHL at some point. We had Jason Zucker, who's a Vegas kid and now plays for the Minnesota Wild in the NHL. So we've seen that there is enough talent here in Vegas to produce NHL caliber players. And so now that we have our own NHL team, it really I think it really has exponentially the growth of hockey here. More people want to try the sport here. More people want to be involved in it. This place is always packed with something going on here. They're building the rink out in Henderson. That's probably going to be packed with people that have their own area out there. So it's only been a positive thing for Las Vegas to see and have our own team to kind of rally behind and to see how much hockey does work here. And people think, well, hockey can't work, it's too hot or something, but with the equipment they have these days to keep these ice rinks nice and cool, it's nice and cool in here right now, and it's still about almost 100 degrees outside. So it's pretty amazing the technology we have to have and everything like that. So.
I was going to just bring that up. I'm glad you did. The facilities here at City National are first class. I mean, the guys talk about how great the ice is. They want to practice on it all summer long. T-Mobile is T-Mobile, right? I mean, how they transition that place from ice to other events so quickly. But we saw it a couple years ago with the Stanley Cup final here. I mean, it was really hot in June, right? And that ice was really good. What does it say about just the caliber of talent you have here for not only on the ice but off ice as well?
Yeah, I think it says a lot. I remember that first game of the final. I didn't get to go in it, but I went outside the plaza and stuff, and it was very, very hot outside, and then inside watching the game just from the afar, it was quite interesting to see how the ice was, how great the conditions was. Maybe it wasn't as it was during the rest of the season, but still, the fact of everything being said, it was still in pretty good shape, and it just says a lot about what they can do to get everything put together and how well everything works out.
All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come back and let's specifically talk a little UNLV hockey. You can tell me what you saw Friday night with your own eyes, okay? We'll be right back on Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. All right, welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's another Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. This is my second trip up to Vegas this season in about 2 weeks. So much going on here. Not only Golden Knights hockey, but UNLV hockey is on the rise. It's been on the rise. STEVEN Marsh is with me again for another segment. STEVEN, you've seen this program, but you saw it up close and personal for the Scarlet and Gray game on Friday night. Give me some of your first impressions, aside from the crowd, which you know was outstanding.
Well, I think what we're seeing is a focus on a little bit on size and some speed. There was certainly that. I think the leadership of the players that have been here before, I think, is certainly paramount. I think this Orion Linehan, he had a couple goals in the scrimmage. They seem to be impressed by him. I know I talked to Anthony, Coach Venery Greener, after the scrimmage, and he said he liked that he had a couple rebound goals and just liking seeing the players trying to finish plays and trying to not give up on plays and to lead to scoring opportunities. I think you see there was some hitting involved. There's some checking into the boards and stuff, and you wouldn't maybe see that in a scrimmage, but I think they were trying to treat it as a real game. Even though they were playing themselves, certainly with the atmosphere of the game itself, they had all the stuff that you would see in the home game here. But just on the ice itself, the players obviously were looking for roster spots where they're going to fit into the roster, what lines are going to come to play. The coaching staff had a unique perspective watching it from the stands, as they had other coaches helping out in the team, so they actually got a chance to watch from the stands, which gives them a overview look of everything, and I think that helped them kind of see what they're impressed by. And I think a couple things that they want to see is that they have a good core group to kind of stay with them the whole year, and that and I think with these guys you might see that.
Okay, when I talked to Coach Venery Greener and I talked to ZEE KHAN and Nick Raboni and those guys, two things that I grabbed from our conversation was they all said two words. They said character and depth. And that seems to be the common theme throughout the Desert Southwest. Everywhere I go, every team wants good character guys. They also want good depth. How important are those two things?
Well, they seem to be very important in any college sport. I think you see sometimes you see turnover and stuff, and just I think the last couple of years with UNLV specifically, they have such a really good start. I remember last season they had such a great start. They got the Chicago Classic, and then participating in that again this year. And then they didn't play again until January. I mean, the schedule stopped at that point. They didn't play again until January. And then when you come back in January, new semester, that she's off the ice or whatever the case may be with schooling or whatever, and it didn't have the same core guys, and it was almost like it was a different team almost, and it just something didn't. So that's something now that they've kind of seen the last couple of years, and so that was something I think they really want to address this year, is that the players that they have here on opening night in September will be the same players for the most part. Might be an injury too, but for the most part will carry over into March, or at least have a core group of depth players that can fill some of the gaps that maybe they'll have later on, instead of just relying on the same group and then hoping that nothing happens to them.
When you talk about any hockey team, every coach will tell you he wants to build from the goal out. Eric Idison seems to be the man with the step up, if you will, into the net. Eric's been around here for a little while. He suffered some injuries, but what do you think of Eric's performance Friday night, and do you think he's the guy to lead this team, or is there going to be some stiff competition for that spot?
Well, I think there will be competition, but I think they're pretty high on Idison. He's been here, as you said, for a while. I think he's a senior this year, so it's going to be him leading the way, I'm sure. And he was great. The score was pretty close. I mean, it was a 4-1 game, if you want to, so to speak. I mean, there wasn't really a lot of scoring, so obviously both goaltenders, their other goalie that they picked up this year, Dorian and then Idison, who they have before, is certainly going to provide them a good core in net. So that should be good.
They also told me, and I'm talking about Coach Vigneri Greener, but they'll be a speed team as always, right? They're skilled in speed, but he also wanted to add just a little bit more size because he felt like in some competitions with other ACHA D1 teams right here in the Desert Southwest, they maybe didn't have the physicalness to compete. I'm talking about U of A, ASU, now Grand Canyon coming in. What do you think of? You already mentioned a little bit about the physical play, but could you see some size difference over previous teams?
Certainly, I think I certainly did see that. I think there was more players that had the height and more size than before, and so I think you'll see some of that, and I think that's going to provide them just an extra sort of a leg up, hopefully, in the rest of the competition to compete with like Arizona and ASU and those teams that have a little bit more size as well. So.
Last year you had a chance to see what a national tournament was like at the D1 level in Dallas, Texas. It's back there again this year. Your thoughts on what this team has to do to, first of all, get there, but more importantly, place themselves in a good seed where they can make a run through that tournament?
Yeah, and that's something that they'll tell you they're focused on. Making the tournament has been great, and the schedule sets up to, if they play pretty decent, they should get a spot again. They play good competition, and they usually compete pretty well. I think the key, this year, is to try to finish in the top 12, I think it is, where you get a better position in the tour, so they don't have to play those first couple of early morning games and stuff. And they wouldn't won that first game, and then they had to face like Ohio last couple 2 years in a row, and they would tell you they put so much energy in trying to get that first game in, or finish that, and then the next morning, playing an early morning game again, they maybe didn't have as much energy. Ohio, that would be their first game in the tournament. They're juiced up and ready to go, and so maybe it was just a little bit too much, although UNLV fought hard in both those times. But, yeah, I think it's just if they can get into a good spot in the top 10, and we saw that last year. They were pretty much there the whole season, and then they kind of, at the end of the season, they just kind of struggled. Those 2 games in Stony Brook seemed to really make a difference. They couldn't win those games, and it dropped them in that 13th spot, just outside that top 12. So they had to. So if they can get into that top 12, they won't have to play, I think, until the Saturday, and then it's a little bit of an easier path. Although, if you really want to win, you just gotta take care of business. But I think if they have a little bit of a better setup in the tournament, then maybe they can outlast and make it far.
When we look at the schedule, like you said, it does set up pretty well for them. They get a chance to go back to Chicago, play a tournament environment, try to defend their championship at the Classic. But the other thing they really have their eyes set on is playing well against the defending national champions in Minot. I know they're pretty much building their whole season about what that's going to be like on that trip, and they don't want it to end the way it's ended in the past.
Yeah, it has not been I guess a positive trip for them to North Dakota, and last couple seasons ago they played Minot here, and they were number 1, and they knocked them off, and that was like probably one of the greatest wins that they had. And then last year they had one game here and didn't win, and then a couple there, and they couldn't pull it off. So those are measuring games, measuring stick games that if they can compete well against, obviously Minot, they won the championship last year, as you said, and if they can beat them and stuff, it shows that UNLV can hold up with just about anybody in the ACHA and stuff. So it's gonna be important games. Minot State comes here later in the year, and of course earlier in the year they go there. So it's a tough trip. From what I understand, and I've not been on that trip with them. I don't know if I will this year or not, but it's gonna be it's a tough trip for them, and I think it's certainly a case of where they can see where they're at that point.
Okay, so we talked about ACHA hockey. Everybody wants to know, with the NCAA loosening their policies on allowing NCAA tournaments to be held now in Vegas, and all the gambling stuff is kind of out of the way as far as NCAA hockey is. There's going to be another Fortress Classic here this winter for NCAA teams. What's your gut thought? Is this a program that can take that next step up to NCAA?
I think so. I think everyone, maybe the fans or the city might want to see it happen soon. But I think just talking with Z, or just kind of getting the sense of things, they really want to win at the level they're at right now. And they reference ASU's program before they became NCAA, where they won a championship at the ACHA D1 level. And I think if that's their focus right now. And I'm sure that other stuff's being worked on right now, and they have a great relationship with the school, from what I understand, but it's something that's going to take time, because a lot of it has come down to money. They're trying to get UNLV's trying to get the football program back to prominence, and they're going to be moving to Raiders, Legion Stadium, the Raiders, which will help. Sure, they're trying to get the basketball back, and those are big sports, and obviously. They want to try to get hockey to be kind of one of those top sports too, but it will take time. I think people need to understand it probably will take some time. It's not going to be something that's going to happen overnight. I think the growth process of happen is already happening, but I think it's going to take more time. This year they're going to play a couple of games at the Orleans, from what I understand, and that should be good to see maybe how they can stack up there and stuff. And the tournaments that come here for the college hockey all helps. It all helps, but it will take time. But I definitely can see it happening at some point. But I think if the focus right now is to win at this level and to kind of continue to establish yourself at this level, which they have. But if they could get that championship at this level, it's only going to help them. So.
All right, Steven, I appreciate your time. It's great to visit with you all the time, because you're so hockey knowledgeable, and you're definitely hockey knowledgeable in UNLV. And,
I appreciate that.
And like we say all the time, it's a building process, and I know that Z and the guys are using ASU's model. ASU now in their fourth full season of NCAA hockey is moving up the ladder. They're very competitive, maybe one of the top 10 teams in the country when we kick off here in about a month. But UNLV is ready to roll. I think it's just a matter of, like you say, winning at this level, and then let everything else just fall into place.
That's a good assessment. I think win at this level, and then wait and see what happens. Everything else with the university and the athletics there, and then just kind of continue to build the relationships at this level. And I think you'll see that.
All right, folks, we're going to be back with another segment. This is a strange thing for me, because I normally do hockey talk in one setting, right? But this time we're doing something different. We're moving around Vegas. We're here at City National with Steven today. We're going to be a little bit later on with ZEE KHAN down on the Strip, talking exactly from the general manager's position. Then we're going to do something really different. We're going over to JESSIE RAE'S BBQ, and we're going to visit there as well. So stay tuned for all the segments. We'll be right back with ZEE KHAN.
Pre-game like a pro, post-game like a champion at College Bar and Grill. Located across the street from the iconic A Mountain and Sun Devil Stadium and a quick walk from Wells Fargo Arena, College Bar and Grill is your home for the best local craft beer, delicious creative cocktails, tasty food, and Tempe's best atmosphere for Arizona State athletics. College Bar and Grill. Pre-game like a pro, post-game like a champion. Online at ilovecollege.co.
All right, welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. A new spot. We're at City National this morning. We're down here at Treasure Island today, which is awesome. ZEE KHAN is with me, the general manager of UNLV Rebel Hockey. And Z, things continue to grow for this program, don't they?
Yeah, they're coming together. Year 5 now with our current staff, and obviously we've seen a lot of growth in the last 5 years, both on the ice, away from the ice as well, within the community, and we continue to see that support every time we're at City National Arena on the ice.
You know, we're celebrating our 5th anniversary as well, and I kind of came into this whole thing together with NCAA hockey at ASU and you guys, and now we're seeing Grand Canyon jump up, and U of A is starting to flourish again, and ASU is rebounding with 120 players trying out for their program. So is this what you thought 5 years would look like down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think we always kind of envisioned growth of our hockey program, and it's good to see that the other programs around us are starting to do the same thing again. And we know the history with ASU, obviously, and what they've been able to do at this level and where they're at now and what they're doing there. And, you know, for me personally, it's it's good to see University of Arizona come back to where they were, because I know I had plenty of battles with them back in my day, and I was able to watch my younger brother, for 4 years straight beat them. So, we're trying to do the same thing here at UNLV, and I think that, like I said, it's good to see all the other programs doing well, and we're excited to see what Grand Canyon will be like this year.
When we talk competition in ACHA D1, you know as well as anybody that it's not just about winning, but it's about strength of schedule, and it's placing yourself in the right spot at the end of the year for that national tournament. What's the goal this year besides winning the national tournament?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be able to take care of home ice as usual. We have a tournament to defend in Chicago. We're going back there again as defending champions. We have a really tough schedule here at home. We have a couple games at the Orleans this year in January. We're hosting a tournament on our own in January as well, bringing Minot State in. They're the defending national champions. So I mean, we have a really tough schedule on our in front of us, and again, like you said, it's about keeping track of where we're at throughout the season and make sure that we end up in the right place at the end of the year.
A lot of things keep happening in the hockey world, right? I mean, the NCAA has loosened its restraints on Vegas now, so there's good things happening there where they can start bidding for national tournaments and things like that. The Fortress having their invitational again, where they're going to have a 4-team NCAA. So obviously, the obvious question keeps rolling around. What's UNLV's plans? Where are we at? Are they going to take the next step?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to do what we do on the ice, and I think that'll just help us take care of our own business. We're hosting our own games as well, big games. We're trying to create atmosphere for the locals to really get an experience in college hockey here. And again, I think our main goal right in front of us right now is to win at this level and win the national championship. And whatever happens off the ice, away from the rink, it'll take care of itself.
Okay, so being an ASU alum, I know you follow the program closely. I know you guys try to model it after what Greg's done over there. What's it feel like to see an NCAA team that has Austin Matthews doing their jersey unveil and all these different things? You had to go, wow, this is getting big time, right?
It's always, it's fun to see what they're doing over there every day, and we're really close to that program, obviously, like you said, and it's something that we constantly try to model after, because they're doing it the right way, and everything that they do, both at the rink, away from the rink, from a marketing perspective, it's all done really well, and testament to their team over there and what they have going on. But obviously, there's a lot of expectations on them now too, and it's fun to see that, because now it's not about, hey, what's this team doing in Arizona as far as an NCAA program goes. There's true expectations attached to that program, and in a short period of time. And obviously for us, it's great to see that, because we know what's out there and what can be done.
All right, two words keep coming to mind everywhere I go in the Desert Southwest, from every level, right? From the pros on down to you guys and even the D2 level, but character, depth. Everybody wants character and depth. Is that something new, or is that just an evolution that took time?
No, I think, no team's going to win without depth. We saw the 2014 team, the ASU team that won the national championship. That was a team that was built around winning with depth, from the top to the bottom. And, I think that we look at it from our perspective, and everything that we've been able to accomplish over the last few years, we always run into that same issue at the end of the year at the national tournament where we're struggling with depth. So, every kid's going to matter throughout our lineup. Every kid's going to have an opportunity to play this year and, compete every day to get in the lineup. And that's something that I think as an organization we thrive on. I think we're building a culture where competitiveness every single day will matter at the end of the season. So yeah, truly, bringing in the type of kid that's willing to compete. I think that shows a testament to their character, but then also, that competitiveness, it's going to build our culture.
All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come right back, and we'll talk a little bit about the Scarlet and Gray game that just happened. It's hockey season, folks. We'll be right back with ZEE KHAN. All right, welcome back in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. Been to Vegas a couple of different times now to do hockey talk. I always love coming up here because there's so much excitement. Growth, excitement, 2 new rinks coming in Henderson. Understand Mr. Foley's talking about 2 more rinks sometime down the road. It's got to put a smile on your face, right, Z?
Yeah, we've been right in the middle of it to see the growth of hockey, obviously, here in the town. And before that, it was thriving. There's good players that have come out of Las Vegas over the past 10 years, and now we're seeing a whole new generation of kids that are exposed to the game, and it'll be fun to see what this group will be able to accomplish that's been in front of the Golden Knights, and from the U12s and the success that one of our teams had at the Pee Wee tournament already, and it's exciting times for us. And obviously we're looking from it from a college perspective. Some of these kids that are now playing 14, 15, 16 years old that could end up here at UNLV with us.
Okay, so let's talk about a couple of things before we get into the roster this year. First of all, over the summer, Cody Williams signs a professional contract to go play in France. I talked to Jake Sachs. He said if he needed a translator, Jake would be there for him. I know you're not letting Jake go, though, keeping around for at least another year. But what does that say about your program, that you can produce that kind of talent that can sign a professional contract?
Yeah, it's Cody's, first off, hard work that he put in, obviously, over the last 4 years with our program, and everything that he was able to do while here for our program obviously helped our program along as well. We're excited for him. Like I said, hard work paying off, and he's playing at the highest level that he can right now in France. And I think that I talked to him the other day. He had 3 assists or something like that in his first preseason game there. So. Cody's going to do what Cody does. He's a skilled player. He's an elite player with elite speed, and we're excited to see what he does over the season over there.
Well, you not only lost Cody, but you also lost an assistant coach who was a big part of your program last year, the year before, in Jeff May, and I know you're happy for Jeff being able to take that next step.
Yeah, again, these kids are getting quality coaching every day from Anthony, Nick, and Jeff. Last 2 years, he's been a big part of that as well. We're excited for him. He took a job in the ECHL over in Jacksonville, and I think he'll do great. I know he played for the head coach there when he was playing professional hockey in the AHL, so it's a good fit. And I think, again, Jeff was a big part of our success over the first couple of years at Division I level, and that's the type of coaches that we want here. And like I said, Anthony and Nick do a great job every day, and these kids are being developed to go to the next level.
Okay, so I was here a couple of weeks ago. I was here on your Monday when you brought 30-some kids in for open tryouts, and I was going wow. Some of your own regular guys didn't even go on the ice that day because there were so many kids. What's the secret to drawing kids right now? Is there one?
Obviously the growth of our program has a lot to do with that, and UNLV has become a place for high-level kids to come and play hockey, continue playing. So, we know most of the kids that are going to come and try out. We've had a conversation with them over the summer, over the last few years, figuring out where they'll end up. And, yeah, it is. It's great to see that kind of turnout for an open tryout, with kids that are truly trying to make our program now.
Okay, so last Friday night, Scarlet and Gray game, which is becoming a real big tradition now. The fans came out. It's a free hockey game. They love it. It was packed. Tell me what you saw, not only in the seats, but on the ice.
Yeah, now it's starting to become less surprising. It's amazing to see what kind of turnout we get for, even an inter-squad scrimmage because, in the past we wouldn't expect something like that. But fans are dying to see hockey here in Las Vegas now, whether it be an inter-squad game for our guys or an open practice for the Golden Knights or whatever it is. So we're less surprised about that. We're very grateful that people keep coming out. But yeah, it was a great event, great turnout. It was hard to find a seat in there, and it was good to see the guys put on a little show for them as well.
When I looked around the stadium, City National Arena now, they've numbered seats. Are there any seats left? I mean, can a guy buy a ticket anymore?
Yeah, I mean, for our games, it's going to be pretty tough to get a ticket now, which is it's a good thing, obviously, for us as far as the support that we get. And again, like I said, the kids are working hard every day to put on a good show, and we take care of our home ice. It's one of our goals every year is to make sure that we do our best not to lose a game at home. It's a tough place to play. Teams come in. I know that they enjoy our atmosphere just as much as we do, but that's home ice for us. So we're excited again, and I think that having the seating system, like you said, with the Knights, it only helps controlled chaos, if you will. So it's a good thing. But yeah, it's been amazing to see the turnout.
Okay, so we look at the team, and every coach wants to build from the goal out. You got a good one coming back. You got a senior, the Swede, we call him, Eric Idison, coming back. What did you see from Eric on that first little scrimmage?
For me personally, for Eric, it's just good to see him out there. He works so hard. He's such a great guy, both on and off the ice. We've gotten to know him over the last few years, and obviously he's had some tough times with the injuries, but he's here, he's healthy. We're excited to see the competition in goal. Neither of our goalies speak English, so it's, it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Now they both speak pretty good English, but they're both foreign, and it'll be a fun competition back there. But we're rooting for Eric every day because again he's such a great teammate.
Okay, Coach McNeary Greener told me that one of the things that he looked to you to bring in this year was maybe a little bit more size, a little more physicality. He thought in the years past that you guys had good speed, good talent, but you maybe were lacking a little bit in size and depth. Is that something you purposely look for when you're recruiting this year?
I mean, we're looking for kids that are come here and have an impact on our program. Obviously, this year with some of our kids that we brought in, one of them does stand out. Obviously, Jason Demizio, he's a giant. He played 100+ games in the North American Hockey League. He's going to be an imposing figure up front for us. Him and Jared Turcotte actually know each other. They played together growing up. So we have two kids of that status, and they're big physical guys that have skill, and both of them have NHL kind of shots, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how they do up front this year against other teams who typically have seen us be more of a speed and skill type of team. We're going to add an element that most teams haven't seen yet.
Okay, it's not only on the ice, so you guys are building the program. I was out for the golf tournament. I saw what you're doing out there as well. So it's always about fundraising, right? Raising dollars. And how's that all going for the program? And how has it changed since you guys really took this over 5 years ago?
Fundraising is a day-to-day constant cycle. We're always looking for additional support within the community. The community has been extremely positive as far as response to us as well. It's there's a lot of dollars out there and a lot of teams and a lot of different organizations that are looking for that same dollars. It's a small town still.
Yeah.
But people have really latched onto our program. We have, like I said, tremendous support in the community. The golf tournament is just another example of that. With so many people coming out every year. This is now our 4th year with the golf tournament, and now it's becoming more of a friends and family type gathering because you get a lot of the same faces there, and you're meeting a few new faces, but. Obviously it's something that we enjoy every year, and I know that our supporters have a good chance to come out, see the guys, meet the team prior to us getting out on the ice for the first time.
All right, let's wrap things up by talking about winning, right? You won a tournament, you won the Chicago Classic, you're going back on it. I know the goal, though, is that national tournament, right? It's probably, Coach Powers has told me several times, it's the hardest tournament he thinks in hockey to win. What do you guys have to do to win that thing?
Yeah, I think that we just have to prepare ourselves properly according to plan. Like the last couple of years, we knew what we had to do to get there. We knew what we were doing when we got there. It's just a matter, like we said, we talked about depth being a big part of that. We're going to have more bodies. We're going to have more kids that are ready, prepared to play that win 4 or 5 games in 5-6 days. It is a tough thing to do for both physically and mentally for guys. And obviously our program, with where we're at now, year 3 at ACHA Division I, the culture is there now. I think it's just a matter of our leadership. We have a good group coming back this year, and I think that a good mix of young kids coming in that we're really going to take a step forward this year as far as what we're trying to accomplish there at that tournament specifically.
All right, so as I said, we're doing this show a little different. We're doing this segment at City National, segment here at Treasure Island. Thanks for bringing us in. Thanks for coming on with us. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back, and we're going to go over to Jessie Rae'S BBQ. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yep, big fans. They're they do a lot. You see a lot of them rooting for the Golden Knights, and it's a great place. So that'll be a fun one for you.
ZEE KHAN, thanks for your time as always. We will be all over the place because you guys are going to be on the ice for real in about 2 weeks with Colorado coming here.
Yep, first home game September 13th. Annual now. We've opened with them the last 2 years now as well. So it's always a fun series. Right in the middle of the Golden Knights camp as well. So there's a lot of hockey going on around the rink, and again, great turnout for us. We expect this year to be even bigger than it ever has been. So.
And then from there, you go right into the fire, right? You're going to go down and play Grand Canyon, and then a couple of games with ASU, and get all that Arizona stuff out of the way early.
Yeah, it's again, our schedule is becoming more and more systematic. We're going back to Arizona. It'll be interesting to see how Grand Canyon looks on the ice. I know that Danny's done a really good job there, bringing in some really high-level kids. I'm excited to see their growth as well, because we need more teams like that in the Southwest. It helps us from a scheduling perspective as well. So. Get to Grand Canyon, we get to play ASU again and see how their team looks. I know that they had a ton of kids out there for their tryout, and I know they always do a really good job. So we're excited to see both those teams.
All right, we look forward to Rebel hockey all season long, folks. We'll be right back and take a taste of barbecue.
Hey, Michael here from M-Drive. My dad, a world-class scientist, actually made M-Drive for himself to stay active and continue enjoying life. And yes, M-Drive supports healthy testosterone, but it's so much more. M-Drive is the everyday supplement to fuel your drive with more energy and more strength. Listen, we'd love for you to try M-Drive too. Visit mdriveformen.com and we'll give you 20% off your first purchase. Just type in the code DRIVE at checkout. Refine your prime with M-Drive.
All right, welcome in, hockey fans in the Desert Southwest. It's day 3 here in Las Vegas, Nevada, for Hockey Talk in the Desert Southwest. We've talked UNLV hockey. We've talked a little Vegas Golden Knights hockey. Today we're talking food and Vegas Golden Knights hockey. We're right here in front of Jessie Rae's BBQ in Las Vegas, Nevada, just a stone's throw away from the new Raider Stadium and Mandalay Bay and the Strip here in Vegas. We're going to go inside and meet one of the people that make this place go. Let's walk through the doors here and see what we find.
Welcome to Jessie Rae's BBQ.
All right, we're into Jessie Rae's BBQ. I've got Samantha with me.
Hi.
We just had a chance to eat some of the best barbecue in Vegas, maybe in the world.
Awesome.
Tell us a little bit about Jessie Rae's BBQ.
Jessie Rae's BBQ has been here for 4 years this month, and we won Best Barbecue 3 years in a row. And we smoke our meats 12 hours every night, and we're here to make people happy with barbecue in their belly.
Okay, you don't just make people happy with barbecue in the belly, though. You make a lot of people happy because you're a great Vegas Golden Knights supporter. So tell me the backstory about hockey in Vegas and how you guys got involved with that.
Well, the Golden Knights' first year in Las Vegas, they got into the Stanley Cup, which was absolutely mind-blowing for our town. And, with some other things that happened recently, it kind of brought our town together. Yeah.
Absolutely. And when I look around your place, everything is Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, there's more memorabilia than everywhere, but you cater to everybody. But
yes.
What's the hockey thing? Is it just about the first professional team and what they did during 1 October?
My son, the owner here, he's very much into hockey, and I have a 5-year-old grandson who he's trying to raise to be a part of that and get that in his blood. And now he's taking him skating, and he's going to be a Golden Knight when he grows up, my grandson.
Very nice. Okay, so you guys treated us to the Fortress.
Yes.
Tell me about the Fortress. I tried to do my best to describe it. It was delicious, first of all. But tell me about the Fortress. How did it come about, and what is it all made of?
All right, the Fortress is pertaining to the Golden Knights, something in honor of our Golden Knights team. We have a little pamphlet up there on the wall. It's a whole rack of ribs that we smoke standing up. So the wall is a sturdy wall of a whole rack of ribs, pork ribs. Inside of that is our signature dish, which is called the Maniac Fries, which is waffle fries, mac and cheese, your choice of brisket, pulled pork, or chicken in the middle, and hot links on top of that. We have 5 homemade sauces here at Jessie Rae's, all made here in the back, and there's 3 of those 5 sauces that are on it also to top it off. It's kind of like the icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful sight to see when we bring it to the table. Everybody wants to take pictures. Everybody wants to ooh and ah. So.
Okay, so first of all, you do not look like a grandma, so let me throw that out to you. Second of all is, tell us about how barbecue got in your son's blood. What made him want to be a barbecue restaurant entrepreneur?
All right, well, we're Italian.
Okay.
I taught my son how to make my his great grandma's spaghetti sauce. And he got a little smoker for Christmas from his wife one year.
Right.
Started using us as guinea pigs and smoking different things every day. And he started tweaking this little sauce on the refrigerator, crossing out things and putting, half a cup of sugar and changing. And then he kept smoking different things. And we bought him a bigger smoker. And we were like, this is really good. And then he got the sauce, and we ended up calling it our God sauce, which has won many awards now.
Okay.
But that's the sauce he was tweaking on the refrigerator paper.
Right.
And we were like, this is amazing. You have to start a restaurant. So here we are.
So 4 years in the running. I look at different things. You can get your sauces, I take it,
By the bottle here.
by the bottle.
We're in the process of getting them done in the grocery stores, but it's been a long process.
Okay.
We're still in the middle of that.
You also got a few souvenirs. I see the T-shirts and the hats are available. I'm also looking down at the awards on the bottom, and you guys are proud of the awards, aren't you?
All over the awards, yes. My son likes to go to his wife, who is Jessie Rae.
Okay.
He named the restaurant after his wife.
Okay.
They like to go around all the states and the nearby places and do all the barbecue competitions, which
Okay.
we win quite often, as you might imagine.
I would agree. That wouldn't be difficult.
Yeah.
Now, your location is just a stone's throw away from that new Raider Stadium. So, are you guys ready for what's going to happen when they start playing football here on Sundays for real?
Well, we've already expanded once. We were in this little room for 2 years.
Okay.
We bought out the tattoo parlor next door. If we have to expand, we will. But we're going to make it where it's kind of like, you have to stand in line when you come here. You know you're going to have to wait. You know you have to get here or we're going to run out of food. Kind of make that part of it. It's fun.
I hear ya.
It's fun. Yeah.
Okay, so you not only can come in and eat, but you can get it to go too, can't you?
Absolutely. We do a lot of catering. We won Best Catering for the last 2 years in a row.
Okay.
Yes. We got
And-
catering, takeout. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So give us a little price range on things. What would you recommend somebody trying the first time? I know the Fortress is what you got us, and it was excellent. But somebody coming there, what would you recommend?
You can do a 2 and 3 meat combos, which are $15 to $20 a person.
Right.
That's about your average range, I would think. Yeah.
And the Fortress is set up to feed how many? I mean, 2 of us ate it, and we're taking some home with in a box.
2 to 3 people. Yeah, depending on how hungry. I get guys in here that can put that down themselves. Oh yeah.
I know a few of those because they sent me some messages on social media, so I'm sure of that. All right, so as I look around here and you decorated the place, like I said, with a lot of memorabilia, is there anything special that we need to know about Jessie Rae's that you haven't already told us?
Well, you already know that we have the best barbecue. I think
the
that's
important part.
we focus on the meat here.
Right.
They have people ask me, why don't you have homemade iced tea? We focus on the meat here.
Right, exactly.
And then you forget about the iced tea after you take your first bite. So, and we have homemade chocolates here.
Right.
Yeah, those change every week, so
Okay.
you get a different variety every week. Yeah.
All right.
We're at the bottom half of our little amount here, but yeah, every week there'll be 6 or 7 different ones in there.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, this was a great way to cap off our trip to Vegas. We come up here every other week, right?
Well, glad we had
And
you.
to do hockey talk up here, and to have a chance to talk UNLV Rebel hockey, to talk Vegas Golden Knights hockey, and top it off with a stop down here. We will be back.
Thank you very much. We're happy to have you.
Thank you, Samantha. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
stepping in for us. I know I put you on the spot, but you did a great job, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much, you guys. Happy barbecue.
Summer has been long. Summer has been boring. Summer has been like 4 months too long than it should have been. Like last summer was great. They ended in middle of June and then they were back at it in September. It feels like the last time they played a game was I was like 12 years old the last time they played a game. But I mean, it's been an interesting summer as far as the way the Golden Knights have gone. It's been a very underwhelming summer in many ways for Golden Knights fans because all they've done is sent people out. Eric Halla got sent out for Nicholas Waugh and a draft pick. Colin Miller got sent out for draft picks. Nikita Gusev gets sent out for draft picks. Carpenter leaves for nothing. Belmar leaves for nothing. Even the AHL guys, you got Carr, Tynan, Masick, Mateau, they all end up going out for nothing. So it hasn't been a very popular off season for Golden Knights fans, at least not me.
Okay, so let me ask you this. When last season ended, and you were in the locker room after Game 7, and the guys were cleaning up their locker room, did you feel the same way I did when I thought these guys wanted to get back on the ice and play another game right away to redeem themselves?
Yeah, I think they definitely wanted to get back on the ice. I think that it was interesting because it was definitely a dichotomy between the night it happened and then 2 days later in the locker room cleanout, where the night that they lost in the Cup final to locker room cleanout was very similar. It was just kind of sadness, but it was a sadness that kind of moved into like a, hey, look at what we did. Where this year, after Game 7, that locker room was just in utter shock. Like it was almost disbelief. And then there's Marchessault, and he comes in and starts, yelling the F word at things, and that was fantastic. But then 2 days later, they were just angry. Like, it was just an angry locker room, and like everybody had a hard time wrapping their minds around, like, it's April 26th today, and we're done until October. And so it was a really almost like somber locker room, and they definitely nobody really could believe that that's the way it ended. And it almost felt like everybody was on the same page, that they didn't lose, it was taken from them. And it's just disappointing that that's the way it goes. But so is life in the NHL sometimes.
Okay, so let's talk about the fan perspective. Was the hangover for the fans as much or worse than the players?
I mean, the hangover for the fans is kind of one that it's just been a long summer, and I think everybody's just been looking forward to them getting back on the ice. They really soaked up a rookie camp, which obviously is not going to be terribly common across the NHL, but for a team that just can't get enough Golden Knights, their fans are going to go. But I think it's been a tough offseason because everybody's kind of in the same boat, looking at the roster saying, how is this team better? How is the team that lost in the first round better now than they were when they lost in the first round? So it's been a tough offseason for fans. That being said, anybody who looks at the roster can realistically look at the roster and say, this is a good roster. Like, this team is good. They might be the best team in the Western Conference. They're certainly the best team in the Pacific Division. So I don't think it's like a hangover as like we don't like we want out of hockey for a little while. They're just itching to get back into it. And I think the players were too.
Okay, so you look at this roster right now. Like you said, the guys that went out and nobody really came back in. But
Well, Nicholas Waugh.
When I talk to people around the Desert Southwest, almost every team from club level up to the pro level talks about character and depth. Golden Knights have character and depth in your estimation?
Character for sure. I mean, they've got a bunch of leaders, and I think they actually had a main leader step forward for the first time, I think, really in franchise history. It was Jonathan Marchessault. The way that he reacted to what happened, the way that he stepped up, the way that he, even the next day or 2 days later, like, didn't back down at all. I think he really cemented himself as like that emotional leader of the team. And then you have the Englunds and Stone and Fleury and all these guys. Now, granted, they lost Belmar, who was definitely a leader on the roster, but I think they're still good in that case. I don't think character-wise there's any issue there, and I think they're in a good spot there. As far as depth, it's interesting because you've got a starting lineup that you'll put up against anybody. Like, the top six is as good as anybody's top six. They've got a seventh forward belongs in the top six. Their defense is pretty darn good for what it is. Their goalie remains top 10 in the NHL. The problem is every step below that is trouble. They don't have secondary scoring. They don't have a lot of experienced defenses or defensemen. They don't really have a backup goalie that they can lean on. And they're kind of a team that needs to stay healthy. And the nature of the NHL is you don't. So it's going to be interesting to see who is going to step forward. Who's going to be the guy that was the Brandon Peary, the Daniel Carr, who was succeeding in the AHL. Is that going to be like a guy like Curtis McKenzie who was there, a new guy like Patrick Brown or Brett Lerno or Tyrell Goulbourne, somebody like that? I don't know. Or what I think and frankly believe needs to happen, I think they need to bring somebody else in before the season starts. Like, I think you've got to look at the Patrick Marlowe's of the world, and I like Tobias Reeder, a player who all of a sudden is available without a job. I don't understand that, and I think that there are options out there that they can go down that road. I think Thomas Vanek's another one, that you can kind of find someone who offers you something that they don't have in their depth. So personally, I think their depth is a little short.
Let's wrap things up by talking a little bit about rookie camp. There's a lot of rookies. Cody Glass jumps right out. Nick Hague jumps right out. Tell me some of the guys that you think that could make an impact and maybe help this team down the road.
I think it's going to be an interesting rookie camp for sure, and the rookie games are in Irvine this year, so they're going to get to play 3 games with a bunch of rookies. I think the number one guy, without question, is Cody Glass. I think he's the guy that kind of can change the complexion of the Golden Knights this year. If Cody Glass is in the lineup, that would probably move Cody Eak into a 4th-line center role, and all of a sudden, you've got a team that looks really complete in their starting lineup. Without it, now you've got Nicholas Waugh or Tomasz Nosek as your 4th-line center. It doesn't quite look as complete. But even bigger than Glass, and even more in many ways important than Glass, is they've got an opening in the starting lineup on their defense. Someone has to step forward and take that job. The leading candidates are probably Jimmy Schultz and Nick Hague, but there's 5 guys in the running, and they all have a legitimate shot, and they're all going to get rookie games, and they're all going to get preseason games, and they're all going to get a chance throughout all of camp. So we're going to have about a month and a half or so to watch all these guys play. Someone needs to step forward. It can't be he was good, but he was also good, and he was also good. Somebody has to step forward and grab that role. Otherwise, the Golden Knights are going to be in a spot where they're just kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall, and that'll probably end up leading to Nick Holden being in the starting lineup, and I don't think that's where anybody wants to be except for Nick Holden.
All right, let's wrap it up. We know the string of home games coming up in the preseason, and the Golden Knights, as always, jump up and do something great for the fans and our regular season holders who maybe don't get to games. It's bobbleheads one after another. How cool is that as a fan?
Yeah, I love what they've done in the preseason. The first year, they were kind of just testing a bunch of stuff, which actually was kind of cool. There was different goal songs and goal horns, and they were trying a whole bunch of stuff. Last year, 4 different people, because it was Gallant, McPhee, Englund, and Carlson, all won awards. So they had a special puck for each game, a collector's puck. This year, like you said, it's 4 bobbleheads. And what's neat is the 4 bobbleheads, when put together, spell out Vegas-born behind the bobbleheads. So they're really cool looking. I think it's a good job of the marketing team to kind of make the preseason games a little more interesting. That being said, if you're a Golden Knights fan, you should be interested in the preseason. There are spots to be won. There are plenty of players to step forward into those spots. And I think things are going to change a little bit in the way that they match up their pairings, the way that they match up their lines, how often they play Subban. Can Garrett Sparks push Subban? I think there's a lot of storylines going into preseason that it's not just 7 throwaway games. There's a lot to learn, and they also end with 2 games against the Sharks. Those are big games. The fans are going to want them. The players are going to want them. So there's certainly a level of preparation that has to be there that I think makes the preseason games even more interesting. So I'm pumped for all of them.
All right. In my words, I'm calling this Camp Turk. I think it's Turk's turn to get going with things.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ken. I appreciate your time.
You got it anytime.